One moment, and everything I knew about my life was a lie. It was a cold October morning in 2018, right there in the heart of Maplewood, Ohio, the kind of small American town where everyone knows your name, where Friday night lights mean high school football, and where the 4th of July parade still feels like the biggest event of the year. My name is David Thompson, and back then, I was just an 18-year-old kid with fire in my chest and one dream burning brighter than anything else: joining the United States Army. I grew up in a white two-story house on Elm Street, the kind with a big front porch where my mom would serve sweet tea on summer evenings. Dad ran Thompson's Auto Repair downtown, the shop that had been in our family for 3 generations. Grandpa served in Vietnam. Dad did 2 tours in the Gulf, and I'd spent my whole life hearing their stories around the dinner table, tales of brotherhood, sacrifice, and standing up for something bigger than yourself. Every time the national anthem played at a game or a veteran walked by with a flag pin on his cap, something inside me stood a little taller. I wanted that life. I wanted to wear the uniform, to defend this country I loved so much, to make my family proud in the way only a son who follows in those footsteps can. I worked at the shop after school and on weekends, changing oil, fixing brakes, and listening to Dad talk about how the business needed me to stay. "You're the only one with a good head on his shoulders, son," he'd say, clapping me on the back. Mom would nod from the kitchen, her eyes soft. "We're a family, David. We stick together." My older brother Jake, 2 years ahead of me, mostly just showed up late and complained about the long hours, but I didn't mind carrying the load. I told myself that once I enlisted, I'd send money home, visit on leave, and everything would be fine. The recruiter, Sergeant Ramirez, had become like a mentor to me. We'd spent months prepping, PT tests, study sessions for the ASVAB, long talks about basic training at Fort Jackson. I aced everything. My medical exam came back clean. I was ready. The day I walked into the military entrance processing station in Columbus felt like the start of the rest of my life. I remember the American flag hanging in the lobby, the smell of fresh coffee, and the quiet pride in my chest as I raised my right hand for the oath. But then came the final physical. The doctor flipped through my file, frowned, and called me back into a side room. "Son, we've got a problem," he said, quietly. "Your records show a history of a torn ACL from high school football and a heart murmur that was never fully cleared. We can't process you today." I stood there frozen, the words hitting me like a truck. Torn ACL? Heart murmur? I'd never had either. I played football, sure, but I walked off every hit without so much as a limp. My heart was strong. I could run 5 miles before breakfast. I tried to argue, but the doctor just shook his head and stamped my file temporarily disqualified. I drove home that afternoon in a fog, the Ohio countryside blurring past my truck windows. The leaves were turning gold and red, but everything inside me felt gray. When I pulled into the driveway, the whole family was waiting on the porch like they already knew. Mom hugged me tight, whispering, "It's for the best, honey. The shop needs you." Dad nodded solemnly. "Army life isn't what it used to be anyway. You belong here, with us." Jake just smirked and said, "Told you it was a long shot, little bro." I wanted to scream, but I swallowed it down. That night, I lay in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every doctor visit Dad had insisted on just to be safe before I shipped out. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. All I knew was that my dream, the one thing I'd worked for my whole life, had been crushed in a single afternoon. But what I didn't know that day was how deep the betrayal ran. I didn't know that the people who were supposed to lift me up had been the ones holding me under the water the whole time. The weeks that followed were some of the darkest of my life. I went back to the shop every morning like nothing had changed, grease on my hands and a fake smile on my face, while customers talked about their sons and daughters who were off serving overseas. Inside, I was broken. Every time I saw a soldier in uniform at the gas station or heard a plane overhead, it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating much. Mom kept baking my favorite apple pies, trying to cheer me up, but I could barely taste them. Dad would pat my shoulder and say, "Life has a way of working out, son. This is where you're meant to be." Jake kept taking longer lunches and leaving early, leaving me to close up alone. I started digging, quietly at first. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, I went through Dad's old filing cabinet in the garage. There it was, a medical form dated 2 weeks before my MEPS appointment, signed by Dr. Hargrove, our family doctor for 20 years. It listed a chronic knee instability and possible arrhythmia that I'd supposedly been treated for as a teenager. I'd never seen that doctor for anything but a cold. My hands shook as I read the notes. Then I found the emails, printed out and tucked away like they were nothing. Dad had written to Dr. Hargrove, "We need to make sure David doesn't pass. The boy's too young to throw his life away. The shop will fall apart without him." Mom had added a line at the bottom, "We're doing this because we love him." Love. The word tasted like ash in my mouth. I sat there on the cold concrete floor until sunrise, tears burning my eyes. My own family, my blood, had gone behind my back and paid off a doctor to lie on official records. They'd shattered my dream because they were scared of losing cheap labor. Jake didn't want the responsibility. Mom didn't want an empty nest. Dad couldn't face running the shop without me. They chose their comfort over my future. I felt exposed, destroyed inside, like every memory of family dinners and backyard barbecues had been painted over with lies. I didn't explode. I didn't yell or confront them. I rose in silence. The next morning, I packed a single duffel bag, told them I was going to Columbus for a better job opportunity, and left before they could stop me. No tears, no goodbyes, just the quiet click of the front door behind me. I slept in my truck the first week, worked construction during the day, and bussed tables at night. I found a cheap room in a boarding house near the river and started training like my life depended on it, because it did. 5 a.m. runs along the Scioto River, gym sessions until my muscles screamed, studying medical waivers and re-enlistment rules until my eyes burned. I saw a real specialist, got my knee and heart properly checked. Nothing wrong, of course, but the false records were still in the system. It took 2 years of letters, appeals, and proving myself over and over just to get a waiver. Those years tested every part of me. I missed holidays at home. I heard through old friends that the shop was struggling without me. Jake had let it slide. Customers were leaving. Mom called sometimes, voice cracking, asking me to come back. I'd say I was fine and hang up, my chest tight with pain I refused to show. But every night I reminded myself, this pain is fuel. I wasn't going to let their betrayal define me. I was going to become the man they tried to stop me from being. I got my GED equivalency done in record time, aced every fitness test, and finally, in the spring of 2021, I stood in front of a new recruiter, this time in a different office, and raised my right hand again. This time, no one stopped me. Basic training at Fort Jackson was brutal, but I thrived. The drill sergeants pushed us until we broke, and I came out the other side stronger. I graduated top of my platoon. Then came advanced individual training, airborne school, and my first assignment with the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg. I deployed to Afghanistan in 2022. Out there in the dust and danger, every step felt like payback. Not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that builds empires. I kept my head down, did my job, and watched my brothers in arms the way I wished my own family had watched me. By the time I returned stateside in early 2024, I wasn't the same kid who'd left Maplewood with a broken heart. I came home a decorated Staff Sergeant David Thompson, Silver Star recipient, 2 Purple Hearts, and a chest full of ribbons that told a story of courage under fire. It happened during a night ambush outside Kabul. My platoon was pinned down, enemy fire ripping through our position. I crawled through open ground, laid down suppressing fire, and pulled 3 wounded soldiers to safety while calling in air support. The whole thing made the news back home. CNN, local Ohio stations, even a segment on the evening news with the headline, "Maplewood Hero Returns." The town threw a parade like something out of an old movie. Fire trucks, marching bands, American flags waving from every porch. They lined the streets of Maplewood like I was some kind of legend. My family was there, standing near the front in their Sunday best. I saw them as I marched past in my dress uniform, Mom with tears streaming down her face, Dad looking smaller than I remembered, Jake shifting uncomfortably in a shirt that didn't quite fit anymore. The shop had closed 6 months earlier. The building sat empty with a for sale sign out front. Their betrayal had finally caught up to them in the only way that mattered. Without me, everything they'd tried to protect had crumbled anyway. After the ceremony, I found them in the town square under the big oak tree. No shouting, no accusations. I just looked them in the eyes and said, "I know what you did. I've known for years." Mom's lip trembled. Dad opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Jake stared at the ground. I didn't need to raise my voice. My uniform, my medals, the respect of the entire town, they said everything my words never could. I told them I'd bought the old shop building through a veteran's loan and was turning it into a community training center for young kids who dreamed of serving. "You tried to keep me small," I said quietly, "but all you did was make me unstoppable." I didn't cut them out of my life completely. I helped Mom with her medical bills when she got sick later that year. I gave Dad a part-time job at the new center because family is complicated. But I never went back to being their safety net. I built my own life on my own terms, married a good woman from Columbus who loves me for the man I became, not the boy they tried to keep. We have a little house with a flagpole in the front yard, and every morning I watch that flag wave and remember the price I paid to stand here. Looking back now, I realize the real revenge wasn't loud or cruel. It was the silence in which I rose. It was enduring the pain without letting it poison me. It was becoming the hero they never thought I could be. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's this. No one, not even your own blood, gets to write the ending of your story. Dreams can be shattered, but they can also be rebuilt stronger in the quiet hours when no one's watching. Family isn't just the people you're born to. It's the ones who stand beside you when the world tries to break you. And sometimes the greatest justice isn't revenge at all. It's simply refusing to stay broken. So if you're out there right now feeling shattered by someone who was supposed to love you, hear me. Rise in silence. Endure the pain. Come back stronger. The world may not see it right away, but one day it will. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more powerful and emotional stories like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Your opinion truly matters. And share this video with someone who needs to hear this. See you in the next video with another unforgettable story.